haven't got time to go through this in detail. It will take hours. But what I want to do is show you one thing. The first chapter of the Bible is packed with very meaningful ancient Hebrew symbolism. Now, again, I'm not going to talk about it all. I'm going to highlight one thing for you. The thing to notice is its symbolism around numbers. I want you to understand this. I'm not talking about superstition. I'm not talking about unlucky 13 or your Chinese lucky number 8. I'm not talking about numerology or mystical numeric calculations. I'm talking about a symbolic number. We don't have many in English. Perhaps the best example is 110%. Okay? It's a nonsense number. Everyone knows it's a nonsense number. But you know what it means when I say 110%, don't you? It means more than everything I've got. I'm behind you and then some. The Beatles, who I don't like, wrote a song called 8 Days a Week, right? Now everyone knows they're not saying it's really 8 days a week. They're making a point, aren't they? They're pressing something to illustrate a point. The Hebrews had lots of symbolic numbers. The number 12, the number 3, the number 7 is the particular one I want to think about. 7 is the most significant number for Hebrew people. It's a symbolic number and it symbolises perfection, ordered arrangement, and that something is divine, of God. Okay? Something is godly, you stick the number 7 on it. Let me show you how this is one of the keys to understanding the first chapter of the Bible. The use of the number 7 in Genesis is not meant to tell you how many days it took God to make the world. It's meant to symbolically underscore the fact that the creation is divine and is from God. For those with eyes to see, you will notice that the number 7 is woven deeply into the literary patterns of this text. Most obvious to us is the 7 days of the week. That's where we get frustrated and throw it away and say it's stupid. But let's think about it a bit more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You see, when you read it, the creation story only actually takes 6 days. But it's important for them to add a 7th day, because you want to round up to 7, have that symbolic 7 in there. In the original Hebrew language, which I've brought with me over there, for anyone who reads Hebrew and wants to check it, the noun God appears 35 times, a multiple of 7. The noun earth or land, same word, appears 21 times, a multiple of 7. After the introductory 2 verses, there are 7 paragraphs, each with a set form corresponding to the 7 days. 6 times is repeated the phrase, God saw that it was good, plus 1, God saw that it was very good, focusing on and emphasising on the 7th statement. The 7th paragraph has 35 words, and within that there are 3 consecutive sentences of 7 words, and each of those sentences focuses on the phrase, the 7th day. Now, do you think the point of all this is the world was made in 7 days? Is Genesis claiming to be that big magnifying glass that allows you to look back in space-time and see what God did on a Monday morning one time? Or is the number 7 being woven into the fabric of the text to reinforce the explicit point that God is divine? That the creation, rather, is divine, is of God. It makes sense, doesn't it? It would be strange if the Bible opened by outlining the physical, chemical, geological and biological processes of creation. Genesis is not particularly interested in those things, but interested in talking about the ultimate origin of all things. It is a highly crafted literary text that does talk about the created universe, but its main concern is that we see that the created universe has an intended relationship with its creator. Is it a scientific text? It's not using scientific language. It's not making a scientific point. Of course it's not a scientific text. It looks nothing like any scientific text I have ever read. To read Genesis 1 as a straightforward chronology of 7 days is clumsy. To attack Genesis 1 as a straightforward chronology of 7 days is really to attack a straw man and is to take the challenge to the Sunday school kids. Well, that's tough. It's a poetic interface that's making a much bigger point and attacking some far bigger and deeper questions. This is what it teaches us. You may not believe it, but this is what it teaches us. God existed before the earth. To use the language of Genesis 1, it talks about earth, haaretz. You might like to substitute universe if you like. God created the earth. God created the earth good. Human beings have a special place in God's earth. What it actually does is really answers the real question. see, ultimately, whether the earth took 7 days or 7 billion years to come into existence really doesn't change much of how any of us live today, does it? These are academic, but not life-changing things. The real question is there someone behind it? Is there someone behind it? Are we all alone and just limited by our ability to collide bigger particles together? Or is there a God out there who's involved with this world that we need to engage with too? And the point that Genesis wants to make is, there is. There is. And this is much closer to the point of the text than the claim that the world is made in 7 24-hour periods. I quickly want to finish by saying something about focus. Lots of people love taking pot shots at the Christian faith. I don't mind that at all. I'm not scared of the questions. I don't think God is particularly scared of questions either. What I do mind is when people take pot shots but don't engage in proper conversations. So I'm really grateful for a forum like this where we can talk together. But I want to offer you a hint. If you're somebody who likes having a pot shot at the Christian faith, I want to offer you a hint that might help you mount a more serious challenge. Aim for the heart. Aim for the heart. The centre of the Christian faith is a person, Jesus of Nazareth. The man, who he is and what he did, is at the core. The Christian claim is that he is an historical figure, and we often must for historical investigation. Real universities study the history of this guy. If you can demonstrate to me that the claims that we make about Jesus of Nazareth are wrong, then I will abandon my faith and I will join you in exposing the fraud. However, I have not yet heard a credible, rational, sustainable attack on him. And so I continue to believe. There is other important stuff to think about, that's true. There are other interesting questions to explore, and the age of the earth is an interesting question to explore. The days of creation, as we see in Genesis chapter 1, are a literary device, always intended as such, and they're used to make some points, and I believe the points it makes are true. But these are not core matters. I'm not a Christian because of what Genesis 1 says. My faith doesn't hang on that. It hangs on Jesus, because he is where the Christian